Okay, so see the focus is let's go through the advanced level, or you can say in depth of Node.js discussion, right? Um, of course, like focus on basics. So first thing first, right? What is Node.js, right? And then why Node.js? So what are alternative of Node.js? And let's say how JavaScript in browser is different compared to Node.js JavaScript, right? Uh, what are unique concepts in Node.js? Okay, and then what are like events in Node.js? What are streams in Node.js? Uh, what are different crypto library in Node.js? Yeah, for encryption, decryption, hashing, right? And then uh, how to handle files in Node.js, and how to make a API call in Node.js, and then what are some good Npm modules in Node.js, right? And what is Npm actually? How Npm is different compared to Node.js? What is latest? What is new in latest version of Npm? What is yarn? What is Npm registry? Yeah. What is package lock JSON versus yarn lock? And what is security concept? Um, what is buffer concept in Node.js? What is callback versus promise versus async await? Um, what is not like uh, how much is support of ES6 or ES7 in Node.js? Then what are the versions of Node.js? Okay, what is Semver? Okay, so we will try to discuss all these concepts. Okay, you there? Hello? Yeah, I cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hi, can you hear me? Okay, so let's just start with like what is Node.js, right? So when we say what is Node.js, right? So focus on Node.js architecture and design. Okay, so so I'm just doing the Google search because I mean a lot of things I don't remember. Come on, slow network. Node.js architecture. Okay, I'll quickly go through the picture. Okay, let's go through this. So this is best picture, I believe. I mean, at least good to start. Okay, okay. So let me search explain Node.js architecture. Hi. So what I did is I just did Google search and okay. Can you hear me now? Can you share my? Can you see my screen? Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the core concept. The what is inside the Node.js, right? See, both Node.js and the Chrome browser, right, or any other browser, right? They run the JavaScript code, but it's more than what we just say that hey, Node.js execute the JavaScript, and once you will understand the architecture, then you will able to figure it out what is difference. So the first thing is let's understand what is common between Chrome browser and the Node.js. So that will help you to understand what is common between browser React.js, sorry, browser JavaScript code and the Node.js JavaScript code. So let's first see here. So start from the left side. So look at here, the V8 JavaScript engine. Okay, this is the common between Chrome browser and the Node.js. And the purpose of this V8 JavaScript engine is to compile your JavaScript and execute it, right? So your application code, where basically the Node.js code. So you write in JavaScript, and JavaScript V8 engine understand it and actually transpile into, or you can say that run as a machine language code, right? And then, so look at here, for all the operating system operations, right? So it does has Node.js binding. So that's why it's never recommended that you should check in your Node modules folder on the GitHub repository of GitHub. Because what happens is sometimes your Node modules binding, so based on your operating system, uh, you basically install it. So sometime the innocent developer, they basically commit the Node.js Node modules folder as well, thinking that it will make their job faster, but that actually breaks it, because if you're trying to do same testing on your Windows and do the same on Mac, so the Node.js binding will different for Windows and different for Mac. So you should never ever commit your Node modules folder, because the bindings will be different for Windows and different for Mac. No, it's like uh, not all Node modules folder use the Node.js C binding, especially display C binding. There are some of the modules which use some binary operations or some operating system related operations. So those specific one need you know. So not all, but there are few. So these are like C bindings. Okay, and then the entire single threaded model, right? We always say JavaScript is single threaded model, right? So entirely is being developed part of this libuv. So remember this name, libuv, right? Um, you might have already gone through the event queue, right? Then event loop, right? Then blocking operation is basically this is worker thread, yeah, all the asynchronous thread, right? All the API call or like it's a database connectivity. So that comes to here, right, in the worker thread. So file system, network, process, and once this is done, it came back to the event loop, and when um, event queue is free, then move to the event queue and execute the process. Right? So if you see, there are three core part: V8 JavaScript Engine and Node.js binding for the OS operations, and the libuv for multi-threaded operations. Uh, Asynchronous I/O. See, asynchronous I/O. Yeah. So name of this component is libuv. Okay. So my point is, you might have read about JavaScript being single-threaded, how it actually take care of parallel call, right? So this explain that, the technical architecture, and you should be memorize that, libuv component which takes care of asynchronous I/O, which has basically three parts, right? Event queue, event loop, and worker threads. So all the synchronous code goes into the event queue, right? Let's say const a equal to 2 plus 3, right? So 2 plus 3 is asynchronous, it's immediately get executed, right? But let's say if you have any file operation or network operation, so you don't want to hold your event queue, so it goes to the event loop. I mean, it actually goes to the worker thread, which is all our blocking operation. So you wait for your file system to complete the read or your network call to finish or process to complete, and then once that's done, it come back and in event loop. In event loop, whenever first uh, first in first out, right? So whenever event queue is free, then it goes inside and executes and finishes the operations, right? So now what you see here is, see the V8, after the V8 engine, so you do have something on Node.js binding. So that's where there are a lot of JavaScript code which is specific to Node.js. So let's say file system. So the so Node.js came with their own module, which you don't need to install on your package.json, right? It basically it's already available part of the Node.js runtime environment. So what you have to do is you just need to learn about it and then just use it. Just do the require and you're good to go. So those are the unique one which is not available in the browser version of the JavaScript code. And some of these are, let's say, uh, FS module, right? Process module. So in process, you might have used process.env to read all the environment variable, right? So those are like module, or let's say HTTP module. So let's say if I ask you, hey, don't use Express, don't use Koa, can you write a simple HTTP server in Node.js? So yes, you can. So you have to actually use the core HTTP module developed and available by Node.js, and use that and then create your very light version of HTTP module, HTTP server, right? And then there are more like crypto. So a lot of like cryptography algorithm is already implemented. Let's say SHA, the hashing, right? So there are initially two categories, not many categories, but one of the categories is like hashing. So where you actually take any input and generate the hash, right? That's a deterministic hash. So there are like MD5, SHA-1, SHA-2. You should read about it. It's all like computer science algorithm, which every language implements it. And then second category is like generate the ID, timestamp based ID. So there are separate module, UUID, Npm module, but Node.js also yes, I don't remember what, but you can do that. Then third is like let's say encryption decryption algorithm. So let's say some of the algorithm are uh, let's say RSA algorithm, uh, or there are many more. So you can use that. So those all are already developed part of the crypto module. Yeah. Kind of. So basically, when you write JavaScript code for browser, right? So you never ever give it access to your browser code to access your operating system, right? So you block it. But Node.js is running on the operating system, and it does has all the access. So Node.js team has to come up with all those modules where it can actually access the file, do the network call, handle, get read about the processes running on the operating system, and then support of all the uh, crypto algorithm or the hashing algorithm and all. Some does, some doesn't, but those are available as a Node.js package, which is not available as a JavaScript code. You should do more research which one doesn't, because some of the package now recently came which runs on the browser as well. But let's say file system, it will never run on browser, no matter what. Right? Process, it will never run on browser, no matter what, because those are like core operating system thing. Okay, so I will recommend read more. Now, so why Node.js? So of course, like Node.js, it helps being writing JavaScript only language for your front end, back end, and now database as well. So that helps. And second is all the IO operation. If your application has more IO operations, so when we say more IO operations, it means so any application can be categorized as three part. Um, IO operations only. So when we say IO operations, means you wrote a very few line of code to get the data from database and send it to the server, or get the data from some third-party system and send it to the server, right? So Node.js is best for that. Second category is, let's say, storage. Let's say you do a lot of memory operations. You actually read data in the memory and doing some operations. So Node.js works there as well, because you can utilize the stream. So instead of loading the entire file, or so just an example, or entire data in the memory, you can get the chunk as a stream, do the processing, and keep performing the computation. So Node.js is best for that. And then third is computation. So where your data memory usage is low, but let's say any some specific algorithm, which is, let's say, stock market, running some lot of computation, this check, that check, this step, that steps, huge CPU cycle needed. So Node.js doesn't work well there, because you so here, right, the if you see this screen, your event queue has to be the faster. If your event queue is faster, Node is perfect. But if event queue is slower, then Node.js will not perform well. So we should not use Node.js blindly for all the application. We should think about it, which is usable. Okay. What are alternative of Node.js? I don't know. So let me ask Google. And recently, what happened? Microsoft team, they came up with Edge browser, and they do have JavaScript engine, and they claim that their JavaScript engine is much faster compared to the V8 engine. So some of the Node.js team, what they did, they actually recompiled the Node.js, switching the V8 by the Edge. So those all can be done, because all the JavaScript engine, right, it follow the ECMAScript standard, so ES5 or ES6. So you can blindly replace your V8 with some other JavaScript engine. Okay, and I think this is better picture as well. So it actually the Node.js bindings, right? It does us more. So look at here, it's good actually. Let's say glib. So these are like core module, glib for what we call compression. Then SSL for um, yeah, secure socket layer. Then HTTP for HTTP, CRs, and libuv for the asynchronous IO, and then C and C++ add-on. So you actually can write your own code in C and C++, and then you create a wrapper add-on for Node.js. So this is good example. So you should basically search more get familiar with this. Okay, so let's see. um, 5 alternatives to Node.js for Java. Come on, look at here. What are the alternatives to Node.js? Let's say see the Deno. So the creator of Node.js is working on new runtime environment called Deno. Golang, they are working on Golang compatible as well. Just to know about. So here, let's say Reactor. This is a good one. Reactor is good alternative options. Vertex, yeah. So point of this discussion is, right, don't ever think that Node.js is like one gun to solve all the problem, right? It solves some problem. It doesn't mean for all the application you blindly use the Node.js. And there are some better options, alternate options are coming up. So keep your eye open. Okay. No, I don't think so. Any team will try to use Node just for high computation application. Yeah, right. And also, like, Go language is now coming to more in picture for multi-threaded. So between Java, Node.js, and Go, if you have like high computation application, then you can go with the Go language. Okay. So now, how JavaScript in browser is different compared to Node.js? So we quickly discuss that. So what are unique concepts in Node.js? So for that, always go to the Node.js org. So go to their site and go to their documentation. Here, docs. This should be your by default to go for all the Node.js related concepts. Okay. So if you see, it has like three things: API reference, ES6 feature supported, and the guides. Okay. So you should read about it, and let's pick the latest one. So what happened is, if you see LTS, so the versioning system is, you should remember this, uh, they use Semver. So in the Semver versioning, the way it is designed is the first number is major version. So major version means whenever you have some breaking change, so you increment the major version. And the minor version, whenever you have, let's say, some feature changes, but it's not breaking the application, or some, small fixes. So you actually increment because the feature change happens. So you increment the minor version. And the last one, we call it patch. So if you have, let's say, bug fixes, quick fixes, which doesn't break anything. So this is called Semver versioning system, and Node.js used everywhere. And then they have two categories of release. One is the even number, and second is odd number. So even number is kind of it does has technical support, and they do recommend to use the production. But odd number is more like experimental, but not recommended to use the production. So if you see, we have 8.11.4 LTS, and the latest is 10.10.0, and it's not LTS, right? So we should not use 10.10.0 for production for now until it is LTS. So very quick, let's open the one guide. So when I say, hey, what are the unique concepts in Node.js? So I will say, instead of uniques, like what are the concepts in Node.js, right? You should always come here and go through each one by one. It's very simple. Go through each one by one. Okay. So here, let's see about these docs. Okay. Uses an example. Okay. Assertion testing. So basically, they have assertion module, which you can use for quick testing. Then they have async hooks for the async operation. Then they have buffer. Then they have C++ add-on. So you can write code in C and C++ and create add-ons. Then C or C++ add-ons with an API. It's like a little different. Then they have child process. So if you want to, let's say, writing a Node.js code, but you do want to run some command line to call any binary, or just to open new child process, so you can do that. Then you have clustering. So let's say if you want to maintain cluster of Node.js process, so you can do that. Then you have some command line options. So once you install Node, so it gives you some command line, right? Node space file name when you try to run your program. If you just type Node, it will open the editor for you. You can write a code there and it will run for you. Then Node versions. So those are the different command line options. Then you have console. So like console log, console info. And this is crypto. So it does all the cryptography related methods. Then debugger, how to do the debugging. Then some of the APIs are deprecated. Then this was DNS. So some modules related to DNS, and some modules related to domain. Then ECMAScript modules. Then there's like errors. So how to handle errors. Then events. Then for file system. Then some global variables. Then for HTTP, you should read about. There is a new version, HTTP 2. So they have support for that as well. And the HTTPS, which is TLS. Then inspector. Then internationalization. Then all the modules. So net for network. OS for operating system. Path for the file path, utilities kind of thing. Then you have some performance hooks. Then you have process to actually read about the runtime process. Funny code, I don't know. Query string, you can read about the query string parameter. Read line, I think to read to take the feed from user. REPF, don't know. Streams, so this is like a stream concept. Then a string decorator, then timer, then TLS or SSL related stuff. Then tracing the events, TTY, I don't remember. Then UDP related thing, then URL. So some utilities for URL and normal utilities. some direct access from the V8, so you can actually run the V8 command. And this for VM, I believe virtual machines. Then something related to worker thread and the glib. Okay, so these are the good concepts. You should memorize at least the categories. Okay, so now let's go one by one. Let's say events. So the best way to learn Node.js is always come to here, pick a topic, try to read it. If you don't understand, then search on Google or YouTube for that topic. But your to-go should be always Node.js documentation, the official documentation. They have beautifully documented it. Initial table of contents, if something is deprecated, they will say deprecated, right? So what is events, right? So event is basically, you can say, the design pattern of, someone is, let's read it, that's better. Yeah, you can go through yourself, but in simple, events are basically someone dispatch it and someone listen for it, right? It's like event driven pattern, right? So Node just gives you APIs to deal with it. So you can develop event emitter and yeah, which can help you to emit and which can help you to listen, right? So you should read about it. Then you have asynchronous versus synchronous, handling event only once rather than multiple time. Then errors. Then some details about the event emitter class, right? The duplicated one. Then maximum listener you can have. You can add a listener. You can emit it. You can name it. All those APIs. You should read about it. Okay. That's a stream. Stream is another good concept. Mm-hmm. Don't give the item of the word. Talk about data. Think about the very good example like video streaming, right? So you have seen like if you have, let's say, 10 gigabytes of video and you want to watch it, right? If you try to wait for entire 10 gigabytes of video to load, you cannot play that video, right? It will take so many minutes to load it. So that's where streaming comes in the picture. Streaming says, okay, give me one meaningful chunk and let me play this. And in the meantime, whenever a new chunk is ready, give it to me. That's called streaming. So you basically, when you have a high volume of data, right, you actually you do the logical chunking, and which come to the receiving end, which takes in and process it. It's a good example. Let's say when you read a file. So the file sometimes or most of the time the logical chunk is each line, right? Or you can define your own. So that's what it gives you. And of course, if you see, this pattern is based on the events, right? Because someone is reading that chunk and saying, hey, I have this data ready, and someone is listening to that. That's why all streams are instance of event emitter class, right? Now they have some APIs, right? um, readable stream, writable stream, and even like HTTP server that we talk about, right? We use every day. That's kind of a stream example, right? Basically, your browser, let's say React code is hitting an API, it comes to the Node.js HTTP module, and you read data from somewhere, right? You send back. So you basically saying request on end. So when request is ended, then send it, right? So kind of streaming example. So read about it. Okay. So what are different type of crypto? So let's quickly open the crypto. So you should read about uh, let's say hashing. So hashing has many algorithms. The basic was MD5. Later, like companies found that that's not secure. So we came with like SHA-1. Then that is also find out kind of easy to not easy to break but breakable. Then SHA-2 came, right? So crypto gives you so many APIs to deal with all the different types of algorithm. Let's say Diffie-Hellman algorithm, ECDH algorithm, this hashing algorithm. We just talked about hashing. Then HMAC, signing, verify, and then some SSL options. You know. So there are a lot of things to read about it. Right? Certificate handling, public key, those all things. So point two, you should actually go through it and read about it. So when you come to Node.js documentation, right? So you should first you should there are some good topic. You should focus that first. Get hands on. Then actually go into the further. Let's say if you want to discuss or learn more about C++ add-on, or you want to learn more about child process, you know, debugger. Now, similarly, say file system. I'm sure you must have already read a lot, but the file system nothing but the FS module. So it does like a lot of good things. So you should go through that. How to make HTTP API call, right? So now here you have to come up with some of the module. You might have used a request module, right? So request has two, request and request promise, right? So request promise gives you the promise version, and there is one more module called GOT. So I will definitely recommend searching Google and just write one hello program in Node.js to use it. Simply search for GOT npm, you will get it, and simply experiment on that. Okay. So some good npm modules, right? So it should go by what you do. So let's say Express, right? MongoDB, right? Neo4j, right? Um, EMQP lib for RabbitMQ, right? Um, let's say request module, right? Or let's say Apollo server. See whatever you have used it, you can keep listing Apollo server. Let's say Apollo upload file, right? Let's say AWS CLI for AWS thing, right? Or let's say load as, right? Or let's say what more? Let's say we use I use PMAP, all those things. Now, so what is npm? So npm node, what is these words? So so node is basically a runtime environment to execute your JavaScript code, right? But where to host the code? So that's what npm comes in the picture. So you can write so many reusable modules, and you can host on a registry. So npm is a separate company. So npm and Node.js team, they collaborate to build the ecosystem for the Node.js. So in npm, if you go to the npm, so they have two things on npmjs.com. So one is like, actually I would say three things. One is about npm.js. What is npm? So in package JSON, you do have npm lifecycle, right? So lifecycle is, let's say, a pre-install script, post-install script, right? Pre-publish, post-publish. So those are like npm lifecycle. So when you come to here, right? So you should actually spend some time and read about it. See what is npm, right? So find, discover, and build. So basically, most of the time you come here and you search for, let's say, Vedas, for example, right? So this is find and discovery, right? So this is just a portal, kind of search portal, right? Now let's say if I open this, so this is going to page for that module, but where it is hosted. So entire package is hosted on npm registry. Because once you create a bundle or an npm module, right, it's actually a tar file. Tar file has all the details, so it get hosted onto the separate registry here. So npm registry, registry.npmjs.com. So this is the kind of hosting site where you host your tar file. So whenever you do npm publish, it actually goes into this public registry. Or whenever you do npm install, it actually download from this site. Right. Right. And npm give is a kind of node package manager that gives you some of the utilities to easily download code by reading the package JSON and running some script like npm test, npm build, npm pre-install, npm post-install, npm pre-publish, npm post-publish, like that. Here, so look at here, right, the express. So this is a hosting site where they hosted the entire express module, right? So that's different. You should read more. So I'm just giving like pointer and brief so that you can spend time. Okay. So what is the latest version of npm? I believe it's 6. Let's search it there. So so the new thing is like, now npm has a new utility called npx. So read more. What it does, I don't remember, but read a little bit. And now npm comes with the default security. Whenever you do npm install, it will tell you, hey, this express package has um, how many vulnerabilities. It is like medium, low, high, like that. Because if you actually search on node security, see, node security.io. So recently npm company bought this node security company. So earlier these were different. So they bought it recently, the npm, see, acquired by npm. Then npm actually implemented node security part of the npm software, npm package, right? So sorry. Yeah, so node security. No, those are like uh, testing the running application. This is static code. When you write a code, you might do some buggy something. You write something where your password is leaked, or something like that. Resource is leaked. So those all are static code analysis is done by nodesecurity.io. I'm just checking where they. Come on, guys. If I merge it and then let's set it down. Anyway, you read about this. I don't know. Anyway. So yarn, basically the problem with node npm was npm. So initially npm worked very well with node, but what happens slowly, npm does in series sequentially. So when you do npm install, it picks one package, then find out all the dependencies and then try to download. Then it goes to the next, do the same, right? So that actually slowed down the npm install. So I think it's Facebook. They come with a yarn. So what it does is basically instead of using one, so it basically find out, let's say if you have 10 dependencies, so it find out the 10 and all work in parallel. Okay, 10, give me all the dependency, download it, and then install it. So yarn was pretty popular because of that. npm does one by one. And yarn does parallel, so yarn becomes faster. Okay. So yarn similar like npm with parallel approach is faster. And there's more good thing about it, but that's code too. And what happens like with npm, it doesn't generate package lock JSON by default. So sometimes you don't want to keep changing your package version, even the patch version. So with npm, you always have to run a separate command which generate the package lock version. So yarn, it's a default. But in the latest version on npm, they included generating of package lock JSON by default as well. So we already covered what is npm registry, package lock I just talked about, uh, difference. This is generated by npm, this is generated by yarn. Security concept, the static code scanning, could be SQL injection or could be So many things. So Node Security IO bought by NPM now. They have implemented. What is buffer concept in Node.js? You go to the Node.js documentation, read the buffer. And then callback versus promise versus async await. I think you know it, but do some research. It's a good thing, right? Then how much is support for ES6 and ES7? Uh, I think on top of my mind, let's say a module loader. So Node.js doesn't support import import syntax. So import express from express. It doesn't support that, right? So, but other than that, it does support even ES7 feature, async await. It does support spread operator, arrow function, you know, destruction, string templating. That's support. So make sure you do some research and find it out. What are the versions of Node.js? As we saw, the latest version is 10.x, and the LTS support is 8.x. So you should remember that. If you go to nodejs.org, the document there. So 8.11.4 recommended for most of the user in this current latest feature, but this LTS means long-term support. Okay, so this is advisable to use. This is experimental. You should use it on your own risk. And then there's like 9, the order version. This is more experimental. Should not use in production. What is Sember? We just talked about. That's a versioning system used by Node.js. Okay, so I will recommend do your own homework to go through all the concepts. Okay, so ask Google, ask YouTube, and write hello world program for all these. Okay.